So let's now come to the next learning goal. Here we look at the main categories of financial ratios. And if you think back to what I said at the beginning of the lecture, there are actually 5 different categories that we have to look into. And today we only focus on the first 2 of them. So, classifications. And of course, each of those categories represents an important aspect of a business. So the first one, for example, are the profitability ratios. And profitability, of course, is a very important aspect for a company. So basically those ratios try to measure in how far a business was able to create wealth. And we said wealth is profit. And so we have a certain set of ratios that analyzes different parts of the company to really understand how well the company was able to generate wealth or profit. The second part are the efficiency ratios. Efficiency ratios measure how efficient the company used the resources. And we said resources are, for example, the current assets that the company has. Also here with efficiency ratios, we have a set of different ratios that we have to learn. So these are the ones that we do today. And then next time we look at liquidity ratios. We learned in the lectures that liquidity means the ability to, pay the bills when they are due. And so having enough cash and liquid resources available to pay our short-term obligations. So liquid resources to pay the short-term obligations. Then next one are the financial gearing ratios. And they basically examine the relationship between the owner's equity, so the money put in by the people that own the company, and loans, so comparison between the owner's equity and the more external financing of, let's say, non-current liabilities. And then finally we have the investment ratios, and investment ratios basically look at the shareholders and help them to assess how well the company is doing in terms of returns. So to assess the returns from the shares, so they invest into the company, and they want to find out how well this investment was developing, how good their investment was. And so this is what we do. As said, this is what we do today. You can see it there. This is what we do today. And then basically next time we do those. And you might think now, well, that's going to be quite tough because here we have 3 categories, here we have 2. So here there must be a lot of ratios. But if you look at the sheer amount of ratios, they are quite balanced. Because here in those 2 we have more individual ratios. Because in the first 2 here, basically in those here, there are some categories which don't have that many ratios to calculate. So that means it's roughly the same amount of ratios that we learn in each of the weeks. So it's around 8 or 9 ratios per lecture, and hopefully that's going to be fine for you to memorize. Let's now basically finish with this learning goal, so 5 categories, and we dive into the first 2 today in the lecture.